Krishna Dandava Pranam Surguru Susila Prabhupada. So please, let's be as quick as possible so we are not delayed for Maharaj. I don't want to make him wait till it's 2:32. You have enough time to finish the test. I'll send the link right now. Okay? It's already on the Zoom, and I'll put it on the WhatsApp. Okay?
Prabhuji, can I have the link? My phone got disconnected.
Where do you want it? WhatsApp or Zoom?
Zoom is also okay.
Where is your Jaspi? Is he here? I cannot see him. Jai Jagadishi. So Jaspi, we want to join this exam or what? Okay, Haribol. I am in a test. Can you close the door, please?
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna, I really don't want to make Maharaj wait, so it's only 5 minutes left, so please make sure you complete your test, okay? Okay, time is up. Please submit your papers. Who is left to submit? Mani Mukunda Prabhu? Submitted. Okay, Yaduraj Prabhu, submitted.
Yes, oh, Yadra Samita Prabhu is fine.
Okay, thank you.
So I submitted.
Okay, thank you, bro. I am the host. I don't know why I'm the host. Who is MI Zoom class? Who is in my Zoom class? I messaged Maharaj, but he didn't reply, so I don't know what's happening. Anyway, since we're all here now, just put your cameras on so I know who is here and who is not. Lila Maya, I can make you the co-host, okay, or the host. I am the host right now. I don't know who is usually the host. You are the host usually?
Yes, yes, usually.
Oh, Maharaj is here. Hare Krishna Maharaj, welcome.
Yes, welcome. Hare Krishna. So, I need to get recordings of these classes. Is it okay? You can
Sure.
give afterwards?
Sure.
Yeah. So, okay. So we can go ahead.
Please.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksuranmilitandena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubha Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're going on today to chapter number 19. We'll hear about how Maharaj Yayati achieves liberation. So we heard in chapter 18, maybe somebody remembers, they can tell me what happened to Maharaj Yayati. Yes, Mataji? Huh? Rukmini, Lilamai Rukmini, is it? You can tell us what happened to Maharaj Yayati?
Yes, Raj.
Yes, you know what, can you tell me something what happened to Maharaj Yayati in the previous chapter?
Yeah, so, sorry, Maharaj, I'm a little bit, can I take a few minutes?
Oh, okay. We'll ask somebody else.
Can I speak, Maharaj?
Yes.
Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada, Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Yayati married Sukracharya's daughter Devyani, and he also married her friend, forgot her name, Sharmishta.
Did he marry her?
Yes, no, not married, but she went with Devyani, but to be her maid and servant. But Yayati had sons with Devyani and Sarmishta also. When Devyani found out, she immediately left him and came back to the father's house. And when he went behind Devyani to bring her back, her father cursed him. Yayati got cursed by Sukracharya to become old and invalid. So then he had an argument with the father, and he explained that if you curse me this way, your daughter will also be unhappy. So it is not in her best interest. So so he begged for forgiveness. So Sukracharya said, yes, you can exchange your old age with one of your sons' youth. So you can do that for some time. So this is what happened to Yayati in chapter 18.
Yes. So was Devayani willing to accept that?
Because it is not in her best interest, so there is no other way, because the curse is already made.
What do you think? If your husband is unfaithful, what are you going to do? Go to your father?
It depends on situation, Maharaj. I think every case need to be assessed, case by case need to be assessed. So in this situation, Sukracharya is obliged to support his daughter. So his daughter always goes to him for anything, because she is under his protection before marriage, and she's supposed to be under Yayati's protection after marriage. So
Yes, right. So Yayati was at fault, was he?
Not at fault because he had a son with Sarmishta by religious principle and not by lust, according to the code of Kshatriya.
So that's what you get when you marry a Kshatriya, right?
I'm glad I did not marry a Kshatriya.
Marry a Kshatriya, you can't expect anything better, right? Their nature. So, of course, what was special about her marrying a Kshatriya?
Because she was cursed by
Devyani?
Kacha.
Yeah, it was a curse, right?
Yeah, it was a curse that she cannot marry a Brahmana. So it was a proper arrangement of the providence that she fell into the well and Yayati got her out.
She had to. Why did she curse Kecha? What had he done?
Because she wanted to marry Kacha, but Kacha saw her as his guru's daughter. So he didn't want to marry her. And that's why the curse and counter curse took place.
Was that proper? To see the daughter also as a guru? Is that the etiquette? Do you have that vision when you see your guru, the family of your guru?
No, Maharaj.
No?
I mean, we don't see them as guru, but we respect them because eventually they will have that knowledge. But we don't treat them as guru or maybe respect them.
Yeah, but supposed to respect the family members like the guru, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Anyway, so Devayani was able to marry a Kshatriya with the permission of her father. But that was a mixed marriage. Right? Pratiloma, right? Is it Pratiloma? It wasn't the proper system. Daughter of a Brahmana is meant to marry a Brahmana. One who's, well, that's anyway in the Vedic culture. Nowadays, of course, Kali Yuga, the modern times, people don't worry about these things. Rarely. Some people do, but not very common. And they're happy just to get the daughter married. They don't so much care, is he a Brahmana or not? Who's a Brahmana in the Kali Yuga? Where are the Brahmanas? We don't have people so much. All right, so anyway, Yayati is entangled in family life. He's got Sukracharya's daughter, and he's got Sukracharya's daughter's friend also, Sharmista, and other women also. They're all there in his palace. So is he a fallen soul? Or is he a great soul?
He's a great soul, Maharaj, because he's protecting so many women.
Yeah, really. He's a great soul to protect so many women. Is he protecting them just by enjoying with them, giving them children? Is that protecting them?
Prabhupada writes that women need protection, and that time there were a lot of women compared to men. So in that terms, yes, he was protecting. And having children, if it was religiously okay, then it was protection, because otherwise they would have been hanging around in the society and they would have been exploited by many men. So I feel Bimal Prasad Prabhu might clarify some more things about it.
How am I going to clarify things? I'm just listening.
Are you telling me that there used to be more women than men? Now,
This is what Prabhupada writes in the purport.
and nowadays not so many women, is it?
Nowadays, I don't know, Maharaj.
Nowadays, the population of women has reduced.
Huh?
Yes, Maharaj. The
What?
population of women is reduced.
There are more women or less women?
No, but still in the world, if you see, it's women are more than men. Many places.
A lot of genocide, child killing in India. Definitely in India, there is less women. I don't know about other countries, but there is scarcity for men to find women. And there are so many atrocities happening in India against women. So there are so many women who are killed. And so, that, in many ways, the population of women is being reduced.
Why? Is it because the woman is just a burden that they have to think to get her married, they have to pay a dowry if they want to get her married, things like that, is it? Is that...
I don't know the exact reason, Maharaj. I think it's because of the age of Kali. The qualities of people are degraded. It's going down and down due to lack of training, proper training in Vanaprastha. I mean, not just Vanaprastha, but all the 4 Varnas and Ashramas. If everybody takes to the proper training, takes to Krishna consciousness and follow the principles, rules and regulations, right? Then, then things will get better.
I certainly agree with you that there seems to be more men than women in India. I don't know what it is about India. Wherever I go, I see men. Very rare to see women. I don't know where the women are. You go in the market, it's all men, You go, but most places, you don't see too many women around. It's surprising. Other countries, you see a lot of women. You go to some countries, the women run the country. Women everywhere, doing everything. You don't see many men. But in India, it's really, a lot of men everywhere.
Maharaj, in ISKCON, we see women more than men, at least 60 to 40% ratio.
Well, in India, it's not so much like that. Maybe in Malaysia, but I don't know about India.
Well, Maharaj,
Prabhupada says that always women are more in devotional. When it comes to devotional, the thing Prabhupada himself said, women are more.
Yeah,
Women
women
are
are more, but in the temple, the population of women compared to men is very low. I mean, the ratio is low. Hardly any Mataji is coming for programs, but there are a lot of men for Bhagavatam class and all. Maybe because they have household chores to do. They are practicing everything at home. They're chanting and all.
Right.
Yeah, from my experience here in Kerala, I'm from Kerala. So here if I see, my population for the class is 80-20. 80 women and 20 men for the classes.
Oh, really? No?
Yeah.
Unusual.
Yeah, because maybe, maybe you come.
Huh?
Maybe in future it will change, but as of now, this is what my experience is, Maharaj.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Maharaj, I am just reminded, it's like striking. I believe all the participants will also will be agreeing to this. At present, just the Kumbh Mela is still going on. You don't see any woman there. You just see 40. Yeah, you see 400 million people out there, but the percentage of women is scarce in that case. Prabhupada is speaking about in general, as we see, Maharaj, even in India, we see the participation of women, the interest that is shown by the woman is far more than the men. That's a fact. But when it comes to different, you have to see in different gradations, there are different things. He's talking about maybe Adichandra Prabhu is having 80 women to 20 men in his class. But if I see at the GBC, I don't see any women. Ideally, maybe 1 or 2. The leadership is comprised of men. You go to ISKCON Leadership Sangha, it's men. You go to iLeads program all over India, it's men. So it's like you see gurus, it's men. So like depending on where it is starting, it's like it depends from case to case, as Ojasvi Prabhu rightly pointed out. So far the the demography is concerned, it's almost equal, like maybe like 49 to 50 ratio, something like that. But like participation in spiritual life depends like from what standpoint we are measuring it. Like recently, Maharaj, I had a chance to go to Pakistan. You hardly see women in the smaller cities at the streets. There's the women are conspicuous by their absence. It's like in places like India where like more urban centers, you see women like out in the streets. But the more the rural the areas are, it's like women are like at the back burner. That's like my observation.
Yes, certainly. I feel when I come to India, I mean, just like you come in the airport, the immigration officers, they're all men. You don't see a woman. Yeah. The other countries, immigration officers, you'll see some men, some women. You come in India, all men. And it's the same in so many things. I said the marketplace, go in the market, I just see men. Anyway, certainly women are there, but it's nice. Some people are coming to the temple there in Trivandrum, or where is it, Kerala? But some ladies coming, but usually the numbers is not so many. I see numbers is quite less, but other countries, my goodness, we have a hard time to get men. You get so many men joining Krishna consciousness in India, but outside of India, it's really tough to get men interested, I mean, you go to China, my goodness, we've got very few men, it's all ladies, women. Philippines, it's another country run by women. A lot of women run everything. Anyway, situation varies, time and circumstances. It's good that the women are chaste. In India, they keep the women out of the public. All right, so anyway, Yayati he's got to deal with the ladies. He's got a palace, and he's got a wife, and he's got her servants, and they're good-looking women, like Sharmista, who's the daughter of a Kshatriya king, and certainly it's very easy for him to get involved and to fall into sense gratification. So, palace life, certainly, that kind of thing is expected. And Maharaj Yayati, he certainly got into it. He got involved. And he got very attached to it. Once you get into these situations, it's very difficult to get out. That's why the example was given about the well. Somebody falls into the well. It's very difficult to get out the well. One year on the Brajamandal Parikrama, this one devotee from America fell in the well. He's a big guy, he's big and quite overweight a bit. He fell in the well, and it took hours to get him out the well. It was really difficult. So a goat falls in the well, you just leave it there. You won't even worry about trying to get the goat out of the well. Too much trouble. Okay, I heard one story. There's one story that the goat fell into the well. And so they thought, oh, we'll never get it out. They started putting dirt into the well, and they started throwing things into the well. Okay, the more they threw into the well, the goat just stood on top of it, and gradually they put so much they filled up the well, and the goat could get out. So here, Srila Prabhupada speaks about Vanaprasthas, the Vanaprastha ashram. Not very much developed in ISKCON. We don't hear much about it. Vanaprasthas, they can also wear saffron. Very rarely they wear saffron. We do have some Vanaprasthas, but not many. So, Vanaprastha is meant, it says, Pancha Sorvam Vanambrajit, from the age of 50, meant to enter into forest. And Kali Yuga, going in the forest is not possible. So what are we supposed to do?
You can go to holy places, Maharaj, Mayapur, Vandavan, Puri.
Well, that's okay if you live in India, or if you're, if you have, OCI card or something like that, and then you can come there and go to holy places. What about people, they're maybe not even able to get a visa for India, or they can get a visa, they can only get 3 months visa. What are they supposed to do?
We can sit ISKCON temple and engage in service to preaching and all that.
It's a bit different from going to the forest, isn't it?
Yes.
Go to ISKCON temples. Taiping only opens once a week.
Nearby, Maharaj. Todo nearby.
Basically, basically the idea is to become more and more absorbed in Krishna consciousness as the age progresses, and for that, it is always more convenient if we have got less and less responsibilities of this world. So the idea, in one sense, is to delegate one's responsibilities and be free, so that you have more time and space for executing Krishna consciousness. And a lot of problems, at least I would say, at least I can speak for outside, but I can say at least for Indian societies, lots of problems can be get rid of if people retire in due course of time. And retirement means really retire. So, and take care of one's own spiritual life and stop poking into the lives of other people. So I think India, at least the Indian society, can be a much more peaceful place. I mean, I'm just tempted to relate that to any shastric. I don't know. There are all Bhaktivedanta students sitting here. I mean, if they can come up with any example between the quarrel between the mother-in-law and the wife in the Shastras, I don't find. I mean, Draupadi quarreling with Kunti, or the 100 daughter-in-laws of the Gandhari quarreling with them. We don't find any quarrel between the thousands of wives and Devaki. We don't find any quarrel between Sita and she has got 4 mother-in-laws. Never heard of that. So I was just thinking, maybe because these people used to retire on time, so everyone has got their space and they're not just piling over the next generation. So they are busy with their spiritual life, and whereas the newly married couples, they are spending their time finding the right balance, how to settle down in their married life and then continue their Krishna consciousness. So I don't know, it's I think Vanprastha has got its uses for all the other sections of the society, not just for themselves.
Well, retired people may retire, but who's going to take care of their needs? You know, they retire, they still have needs. And they may have like medical needs, they may have, you know, definitely need food and clothing, need shelter, they may need heating and so on.
Yes, Maharaj, I understand that like that kind of system used to work as you said, like you're talking about going to the forest, because they used to start their life with the forest when the boy is sent at a young age to the Gurukul. So Gurukul was not set as like kind of established right at the center of the city. So right from the childhood, he is trained in a particular way. And then after that, he comes back and then he takes on the responsibility of married life. It's another way. And then after he has had his like part of that life and he has to move on. So that training kicks in. Now, like you say, when you're asking people at the age of 60 to go to the forest, all their lives they have been to the city, clinging either to their parents or then clinging on to their children for financial support and all the supports you're talking about. It's like worse than like it's suggesting suicide for them.
Yeah,
I
Maharaj,
can understand that.
I also want to ask one thing, you know, suppose if I take my case, I am 50 plus, just crossed 50 years, but I have two daughters, two daughters, elder one is 15 years old and the younger one is 11 years old. So how can I retire now? Because I have to take care of them and I mean, my wife is there, my mother is there, and I'm the only male member in my family, whole family now. So like it will be near to impossible for me to think of retiring as of now, unless I get my both the daughters married. Okay, of course, I had a late marriage and children got when I was 35 years old. So elder one is 15 years old. So how should I? Because okay, of course, I tried my level best, at least whatever possible way. I retired from my official jobs at the age of 48, and I came out for serving Srila Prabhupada's movement completely. But that is only what I could possibly do that. But if I thinking of going out and then retiring from that could be an escapism, like I mean people may take it in a wrong way also. Just get rid of things and then go out, like saying in the name of Vanaprastha. So of course, there should be proper education and then planning, everything should be there, even right from childhood, as Bimal Prasad Prabhu said, right from childhood, if that is being trained. I know there are people who get married by 20, 23, 24, but before 25 get married, then they get early children, then by 50 years of old, at least they can give their daughter or son married, and then they will be relieved from their responsibility. If some finance support is okay, I can maybe financially it could be okay for me, I can just go out. But the thing is, like, there are so many other emotional factors are also there. Unless I can, when my wife says, like, if you go take sannyasa, I'll be there behind you as Rishi Patni. This my wife says always. Like olden days, used to be Rishi Patni behind the Rishi Muni. Same way she said she will come with me. And of course, going out. Okay, of course, at least Vanaprastha, maybe it can be together, traveling around and preaching. That is also there. Similarly, one more thing I just want to add. I think in the previous canto, where I remember, we learned about the Vanaprastha, how a Vanaprastha should be, right? It is so horrible by reading that. What type of life we have to, carry on in of course, no need to go to a forest itself. We can go to Mayapur. I don't remember that Prabhu's name. One Prabhu who comes and sits always in that yellowish color in Mayapur for Bhagavatam class. What's the Prabhu's name? If anyone remembers.
He's from Baltimore. We
Yeah.
we lived together in Baltimore. I forgot his name, but he's the
Oh,
Gujarati
yeah.
Prabhu.
He's
Prabhupada
a kind of
disciple.
No, he's not Prabhupada disciple. He is
no, he's Jayadutta Swami Maharaj.
Jayadutta Maharaj.
Veda.
Jayadutta
Swami
Maharaj disciple Gaur Sundar Prabhu.
Gaur Sundar Prabhu, yeah. He's like a sort of Vanaprasthi. So, I mean, we don't have to go to forest. We can go in Mayapur or Vrindavan or somewhere. But anyway, we have to come out of these responsibilities. Otherwise, that could be an escapism. This I just wanted to say. And Maharaj, you can suggest or advise.
Yes, I agree. You have some responsibility. You cannot immediately take Vanaprastha. You did not plan very well, Certainly, if you'd planned it better, you would have had your children earlier in your life. but you had children
Hare
later
Krishna
in
Maharaj.
life. Huh?
Hare Krishna Anandulal Das Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu.
My experience, Maharaj, the Vanaprastha stage, if you didn't go through the brahmachari life, very difficult to go through the from Grahastha to Vanaprastha. Like me, I was in brahmachari for 5 years, then Grahastha 22 years, Vanaprastha now Vanachari. Be Vanachari, then I now it's not going to anything. I go far from KL to 2000 kilometers to the Sabha alone preach here. But the brahmachari very difficult to preach. Only the Prabhupada disciple do that last time. I get a very problem here. Now I sitting in this time is 300 kilometers from my normal place to come to village to preach. They're giving certain place to sit and do this. The Bhavana Prasa is not everybody can get this. This is some blessing from the Guru in Krishna. Otherwise, we can't get it the Vanaprasa stage. For my experience, I was here alone. Now,
But you don't have to be alone. You know, Vanaprasthas can also stay at home, but the business, of course, is not material. They stay at home. Their business is
preaching,
puja and
for preaching.
studying. Yeah, okay, that's something different. That's Paramahamsa. That's not Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha's business is not really for preaching, but you're doing it. That's the sannyasi's business. You're doing the work of the sannyasi, coming there preaching. Vanaprastha's it's a different thing. Vanaprastha's duty is, studying scripture, worshipping the deity. They may stay with their wife. Of course, they can stay with their wife, they can stay with the family, but they're not concerned with the finances. They're not concerned about money so much. They have to make arrangements beforehand that when they retire into Vanaprastha, that everybody's taken care of. They cannot be irresponsible. Like the other Prabhu, he's got 2 young daughters, so he has to take care of them. So Vanaprastha means that they're detached, that's the thing, cultivating detachment. They go to visit the holy places, and they can come back home, stay at home. They don't need to leave the home. What you're doing is that's a Paramahansa, Paribrajakacharya, traveling, preaching, and you shouldn't be alone, you should have somebody with you. You need to get someone with you.
Yeah, one more Vanaprastha Kopisa father willing to come and on April to join with me.
Oh, good.
Sabha.
Good.
Thank you.
Maharaj, I wanted to add, our temple leadership has organized a Vanaprastha group now. On 2nd of February, we are going to meet. Our temple president is going to, allot some mentors, brahmachari mentors to Vanaprastha men. And so depending on their inclinations and skills and all, they are going to engage them so that they have a very happy spiritual Vanaprastha ashram, and their skills can be used in the congregation services. So that's our leadership vision. So we're going to start from...
Very nice. That's
Yeah.
very good. Yes, very nice. We need to encourage that. Yes, we have to prepare people. We have to prepare people for the next life, right? Vanaprastha is a preparation for the next life. To get a little detached from the family and the children and the money and think more about your spiritual life.
Maharaj, just have a question. Sorry, bro, can I? Or
yeah, go ahead.
Maharaj, actually, is it a must that we should go through all these 4 stages, or being in Grahastha or engaging in Krishna consciousness activities, completely involving in the preaching activities, is it okay to be in Grahastha itself, or is it a must that we must go through all these through 4 stages, or at least
Well,
being...
You have the example in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj was a householder. He had his wife, Archie, but he was like a sannyasi. He was completely detached. And he was preaching, his business was always for the service of the Lord. So externally you may be in the position of Grihastha, but internally you have to cultivate detachment.
Okay, Maharaj. Yeah, thank you. Hare
Inter-
Krishna.
Externally you may remain in the... Like I said, Vanaprasthas, they can still be at home, but
Yeah.
they're not worried about finances anymore. They're just simply taking care of the puja. They have their deities, they study the scriptures, they may go for preaching or have people come to their home for preaching. Srila Prabhupada did that. When Srila Prabhupada business failed, he simply took up, he was trying to preach at home. He was having programs at home, people to come. But his wife didn't like it very much. She wasn't interested. So it was difficult for him.
Yeah. So as I said, because I couldn't plan for my family life, means because I came in touch with Krishna conscious devotees when I was 24 years old. So then after that, then right now it's around 20, say 26 years, 25, 26 years now. So, but after coming into Krishna consciousness and after learning more of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, around 2011 onwards, I started my financial planning so that my target was 2020 should be my last working day. 2020 December 31st must be my last working day. I planned 10 years before. But at least I could take a financial retirement from my official duties and then come and started preaching in my hometown. Because probably if I was much younger age, if I had come to Krishna consciousness, I could have planned for that also, Maharaj. Something that I couldn't work out for that. But at least I can do something now. Srila Prabhupada's movement. I'm trying to do something in my area.
Yeah, very good. Very nice. We need people like you to do something in the areas, the home areas. People will respect that in your retired life you're dedicating yourself to preaching and giving Krishna consciousness. It's very good.
We need your blessings, Maharaj, so that do more and more. So
Yes. May Krishna bless you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada, yes? Something else?
Maharaj, Antaranga Tulasi Devi Dasi. May I add a point? Sorry to.
Okay, yes, Antaranga.
Maharaj, just few days ago, maybe 4-5 days ago, in Mayapur, one couple, Nanda Krishna Prabhu and his wife Amritamai Mataji, they took an official Vanaprastha ceremony from His Holiness Japadak Swami Guru Maharaj. So in the of Narsingadev, they both were there. Guru Maharaj gave them the name Nanda Krishna Das Vanachari. So both the husband and wife are going to stay in home only, but they are going to now dedicate themselves completely to preaching in the Namhatta Seva. And it was the first event we all saw how, and then Guru Maharaj gave his disciple the Vanaprastha dress also and the name. It was a wonderful ceremony.
Vanaprastha dress? What was the Vanaprastha dress?
It was I guess yellow color dhoti that he gave to the Prabhu.
Okay.
No, still is in white, Mataji, white color.
It
still comes in the temple, morning chapa, white dhoti, white kurta.
But he was given a dress, no? I don't know what the
It was white. It was white.
It was
Yeah,
white, okay.
we have Bashu Ghosh Prabhu, he's in Grahastha, right? Bashu Ghosh Prabhu from Vadodara temple, I think he's in white only. Both husband and wife goes together for preaching. They are into Vanapastha. So probably you gave me an encouragement. I'll also take maybe after 5-6 years after my both daughters get married. Hare Krishna.
Okay, very good.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just would like to share our limited experience. Both me and my wife, in fact, we are working professionals. We were professionals, and at age 50, we decided that we will sign off from our corporate careers, and we completely dedicated. I wouldn't say completely dedicated, but to a large extent, we have been trying to do things which you just mentioned. We moved away from our home within the city, and we are staying close to the temple. We dedicate ourselves to services within the temple, DT services. At home, we have DTs. We do a bit of preaching activities. We traveled to Mayapur during the COVID time. Almost for 3 years, we were there learning the Bhakti Shastri and the Bhakti Vaibhav and the various things. And currently also, we stay completely away from the corporate aspects. Of course, we have to manage our retirement, we manage our investments and stuff, but that's a very, very small fraction of the complete time which we dedicate. So we don't call ourselves as being in Vanaprastha, but in a limited capacity, we are trying to practice. Of course, as some of the other devotees mentioned, we don't have children. So to that extent, it becomes that much more easier. And planning for our retirement was that much more easier, I would say. But at age 50, we also signed off, and we have been trying to dedicate maximum time in preaching and activities.
Yeah, I think having children, it's harder. Without children, it's harder. But when you have children, then in your older age, they're there to take care of you and to help you and encourage you in your vanaprastha and in your efforts. So children, it's not like not having children, you can't say it's an advantage. It can be an advantage, it can be a disadvantage. It depends how you relate to them. But having children can also be a boon. And Prithu Maharaj, for example, he had 5 sons, and they all helped him in his service. They all helped him to rule the kingdom. So, like that.
Maharaj, like this, I was just tempted to speak here because you brought in the comparison from 7th canto, like actually Ati Chandra Prabhu got brought in the comparison of from 7th canto Bhagavatam, and you brought in the case of like Vanaprastha. As I understand, in general, we're talking about, or specific, we're talking about like this, the scenario in ISKCON. So, like my whatever little I have seen and understood, that the whole idea of this Varnashram, like in ISKCON, it's like basically centered around preaching. Otherwise, everything like will have their inherent faults, and everything will have like their inherent, I would say, lackings. So like we are, of course, we are talking about Vanaprastha, but like the first thing starts first. It starts there in the Brahmachari ashram. So like the idea of the whole Brahmachari ashram, we see like the boys joining the Brahmachari ashram. It's like I have got my good friend Radharaman Sevak sitting over here, other devotees. Like I am like, you can ask most of us joined our Brahmachari ashram in our late 20s or maybe mid 20s. That's the time when people get married according to the classical Varnashram system. So we joined at the time when we were supposed to get married, not like we should be getting out of Brahmachari ashram. We joined in at that time. So as I understand the whole idea of having a Brahmachari ashram and basically the idea of the renunciants of various shades, just like now Sundari Gopimaji is talking about Vanaprasthas will be guided by the Brahmacharis. I don't, like if you go to the classical Varnashram system, how is the thing supposed to work? Is the Brahmachari supposed to be guiding the Vanaprastha? The Vanaprastha is supposed to be guiding the Brahmacharis. So most of the gurus in the ancient times used to be Vanaprasthas. So I mean, it becomes very complicated if we like kind of cut and dry each ashram and talk about the classical duties, because possibly in ISKCON we are not following the classical model. We are following the model of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us, that wherever you are, from that point onwards, like start like your devotional service, start preaching, and there is an overarching idea of, okay, fine, there is a Varnashram kind of, so that it's not like a free for all. So you have got certain disciplines, certain like social structure, but it is not like the classical social structure, cut and dry social structure that is mentioned in Bhagavatam. Just like as he's talking about, like we are not even sure what color of clothes the Vanaprasthas would wear. But the Bhagavatam is quite categorical in saying the Vanaprasthas will wear tree barks. I don't really know how can one, like sit for the Gayatri using a tree bark, and then like then cooking with a tree bark, because generally tree barks break. So
But those descriptions in the Bhagavatam, that's the Vedic Varnashram.
That's what I'm saying. So then, like, what is the point? We're discussing that thing which we cannot implement. They talk about going to the forest. You go to the forest. There are forest guards all around the world. in each country. Either you will be caught by the forest guards and sent home, or sent to the jail, or you will be meeting not the forest guards but worse people, who are the poachers who stay in the forest hunting for animals. So like, forget forest life. You will better fight very bravely and die very early than
No, of course,
achieving
we're
the goal
not
of
interested. We don't go to the forest. Our devotees, we said that. We go to the temple and we take up some service in the temple.
Yes. So
There's
the
always
idea.
a lot of need for people to do service.
Yes, Mar, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so then it is very like, according to the current realities, like things change, the details change. The principle remains the same. The principle is the idea of retirement. So we retire from our material duties, and you spend all our time in Krishna consciousness. That's what I understand. Otherwise, can become very funny, actually.
No, yeah, we understand that, but whatever's described in the Bhagavatam, that's the Vedic Varnashram. We cannot follow that today. But as you say, we can, the purpose to cultivate detachment from the material situation, to move on from the Grihastha ashram, that's important. Brahmacharis, yeah, you came late. You come in your mid-20s or late 20s, that's late. You know, I joined the Krishna consciousness movement. I was 21. I thought, oh my God, I'm so old. I thought, I've joined so late. If only I had joined earlier, it would have been so much better for me. I was 21. And there were other devotees, teenagers. The temple president was a teenager, you know. So that's how it was. And we do have people coming to, you know, the brahmacharis, they're living in, we have like traditional Gurukula here, and young boys getting trained. Jayapataka Swami just initiated a boy, we had 12 and a half years, I think 11 and a half years old. You know, probably.
He was 17. He was 17 only. Jayapataka Swami.
No, I'm not talking, I said Jayapataka Swami initiated a boy.
Oh, sorry.
There was one young boy got initiated recently from Singapore. He was 11 and a half. But he was ready for initiation. He was very convinced. His parents were devotees. He'd been brought up in a devotee family. So it was good. And Maharaj had a lot of doubts about it. He wasn't so eager because Prabhupada said, should be at least 12 years old. But anyway, he spoke to the boy and then he thought about it for a few more days, you know. So we don't make decisions quickly. Prabhupada didn't move on from one ashram to the other very quickly. He did everything very thoughtfully. You don't just impulsively move into the next ashram. That is very bad. You have to prepare yourself. You prepare yourself from brahmachari, you prepare, just like becoming a grihastha, it shouldn't be, impulsive. You should be prepared for it. You should be prepared to accept that kind of responsibility. Or if the brahmachari is going to go to sannyas, he has to be prepared for that. He has to be cultivating that mood. So it shouldn't be just impulsive that we do these things. You have to think about it and prepare. And in our Krishna consciousness movement, we do like that. The people who come for sannyas, they have a waiting list. And the different things they have to do, they're told, some are told, you go to Africa and preach for a while. Or you go somewhere where there's go somewhere and help pioneering Krishna consciousness to help them to develop the mode of sannyas. And similarly, becoming a family man, becoming a householder, accepting a wife, it's a responsibility. You have to be prepared to meet that. All right, so Maharaj Yayati, certainly he was qualified, he was prepared, he was a king. He had his palace, he had servants, he had wealth. But the problem was he got very attached. He got very involved with the opposite sex. and they had children by a few people, and so in this way he became very entangled. But somehow, by some good fortune, after some time, he had a change of heart. So here we have him telling his wife about this goat, the he-goat and the she-goat. And Prabhupada discusses it very nicely. I mean, the purports are really beautiful. Prabhupada explains it so clearly. He said that the duty of a woman is that a woman must take shelter of her father, as Devyani did under the care of Sukracharya. And then the father must give the daughter in charity to a suitable man, or a suitable man should help the woman by placing her under the care of a husband. This is shown vividly by the life of Devayani. And then Prabhupada goes on, he said, Devayani felt great relief and requested Yayati to accept it. When he delivered her from the well, she felt great relief and requested Yayati to accept her as his wife. But problem came. Yayati accepted Devayani, he became too attached and had sex life not only with her, but with others. Yet still he was dissatisfied. And therefore Prabhupada said, therefore you should retire by force from family life as Yayati. And Prabhupada goes on talking about the degraded nature of worldly family life. One should not completely renounce this way of life, take sannyas. Or one should completely renounce this way of life, take sannyas and engage himself fully in the service of the Lord. Then one's life will be successful. Of course, you could, in ISKCON, we wouldn't let people in that kind of circumstance take sannyas. They have to, you know, the way it's worded here, it sounds a bit spontaneous. One should be fully, well, Prabhupada said one should be fully convinced of the degrading nature of worldly family life. And one should completely renounce this way of life. So you can see it's a challenge. You're in family life, and to get out of it, it takes some effort. But you can do it. And we have seen some devotees, some of our devotees, even in our ISKCON society, some people, they had families, they had children and so on, and they could take sannyas. Of course, they had to make sure that the wife was taken care of and the children also were properly situated. So, the Vedic system, this Varnashram system, it actually works. You know, the progressive ashrams, if you follow it through, it can really be effective. It's a very scientific system for detaching oneself from the material life. But of course, as you say, brahmachari, the beginning of life, the earlier you can be trained in brahmachari, the better. Young men naturally have a natural interest in young women. So this attraction for the opposite sex, this is a good impetus. This inspires them for economic development. They think about making money, they want to have a house, have some residence, they want to have a motor car and different facilities. They're thinking, you're going to have a family, you're going to marry, probably you're going to have children, You have to be able to take care of them. You need these things. So you have to make arrangements. If you're just a good madanga player in the temple, that's very nice. You play nice madanga. I don't know how successful you'll be in supporting a family. So in our ISKCON movement, we are concerned to make sure that devotees have proper arrangements for supporting themselves. They need jobs. Sometimes they need jobs, and most often they need jobs. Anyway, material life can be like that, very entangling. Until Yayati got entangled with their affairs. But it wasn't forever. And now he's telling his wife about it. He's talking to Devayani and he's telling her the situation. And he comes along with this story about 2 goats. You know, I don't know how your wife would feel about it if you were starting to tell her, you know, we're like 2 goats. It's a delicate situation. Who can you present this kind of story to? Would you be able to present this kind of story to a Sunday feast audience? You know, the crowd comes on Sunday and maybe most of them are not devotees or not initiated. Are you going to tell them the story about Yayati and 2 goats? How do you think they would take it?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes?
They will run away, Maharaj. They will not come next week.
Sorry?
If we present this to the neophytes, they may not come next week, Maharaj, for our program.
They won't come next week. Yes, I also think they may not come next week if they heard this story. You know, if I... Certainly, you have to be a little cautious about who and when to present this kind of story, this kind of analogy. People coming, and they hear this kind of thing, yeah, they think, oh my goodness, what is this? I'm like a goat. My wife's like a she-goat. We have to be a little delicate about when and where. Maybe that's why this story comes in the 9th canto. If it had come earlier, by the time you come through the 9 cantos, people should be quite purified and ready to hear this kind of stuff. Okay, we'll take a break here. Let's have a break for 10 minutes. And think about this, think about who would you like to present this. So, here we are, Yayati. And he's talking to his wife and telling her about 2 goats. And of course, it's not difficult for her to understand. He's talking about her and him. But my question was, what kind of audience would we present this kind of preaching to? Jai Govinda Prabhu said, if we present it at a Sunday program to a bunch of new people, they may not come back again. Actually, you can read Prabhupada Lila Amrita. It describes the Grateful Dead some of the members of the band, right? They came to Prabhupada's lecture one night. And what was Prabhupada speaking about? He was
Not
speaking...
having illicit sex, Prabhu.
Huh?
He was talking about not having illicit sex or something like that. No,
Yeah.
Maharaj.
Yes, right. He was certainly condemning these kind of acts of gross sense gratification. And they're the Grateful Dead, you know, these people, the rock band, and they're singing about the slum goddess of the East Side. And, you know, they're singing about these kind of women and stuff like that. So they were not very happy. Prabhupada's lecture didn't really appeal to them. They didn't come back again. Anyway, didn't make a big difference. But what about this story here, Maharaj Yayati? You know, how would you like it, Maharaji, if somebody came to you and started telling you, you know, you're a she-goat, you know, and your husband's a he-goat, you know? What would you think? Would you like it? You know, how would you take it?
Well, Maharaj, go ahead.
Okay, no, Maharaj, it depends on in which level of Krishna consciousness we are in. So now that okay, we are now studying in the Bhakti Vedanta, we are there. So it's more for us to introspect and see where we stand. So it depends on what is the level of the, even in Krishna consciousness also, we need to see what is the level of the audience, to what extent the audience is able to take it, and then understand that and bring them to that level, and then so that it is helpful for us in our growth of Krishna consciousness, because this is a serious study. This is almost towards it's coming towards the end of Bhagavatam. So now we are in the 9th canto. Now we're going to the end of the 9th canto. We're going to the 10th canto. So that means it's now some very serious talks is happening between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Now he's making way for clearing the heart so that it's ready to receive Krishna's pastimes. So then that kind of purification is required if we really have to understand that. So we need to see where we are, what is our level of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, certainly we have to understand the audience, the person we're speaking to. It's important to appreciate exactly what is their level, where are they coming from, how much they can grasp. It's a delicate subject matter, and we have to understand it. I remember as a new devotee, I used to often, you know, it seemed like Sunday lectures, they would always talk about Lord Nrsingadev and Prahlad Maharaj and how Lord Nrsingadev ripped apart Hiranyakashipu. Maybe not really the best topic for a Sunday feast, but somehow it was. It used to come up because in the beginning of our movement we didn't have a lot of knowledge, and we didn't know very much at all. You know, we didn't have Bhakti Shastri courses, we didn't have Bhakti programs. You know, you were just asked to sit down there and say something, and what to say, you know. You don't know very much. Anyway, this account, this pastime which is related by Yayati Maharaj to his wife, it's certainly instructive. It's very instructive.
Maharaj, I just was just thinking actually the whole this whole analogy. You know, like they are using Yayati, and between Yayati and Devyani, it's like between the husband and wife, like having that kind of relationship, like that kind of that kind of intimate relationship, and then they are talking about themselves, like like me comparing myself with a goat is like it's far more like might be like tolerable for myself because I have brought it up. It's like more autobiographical in the sense. But if I use it like for others that you are like a goat, or like then it doesn't work. Like here it is like more like a personal application than a preaching application, just like we have in our Shastri courses also. Certain things are for personal application, certain things are for preaching application. So these kind of examples or analogies like more useful for personal application, personal reflection. So in that sense, like, yeah, they're more suitable for personal reflection.
Yes. Yes, very true, very nice. By way of personal reflection, understand our own self, our own situation. We should present it in that manner. Of course, the purports are put in a very general sense. So it's a question of the speaker to use his expertise in presenting it in a manner to make it digestible. Prabhupada quotes the Sanskrit aphorism, Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat, right? He will speak the truth, and at the same time he will make it pleasing. Right? This is something which takes some expertise. And Prabhupada could do that. Prabhupada gave the famous lecture in the Lions Club in Calcutta, and he lectured on the verse about hogs, dogs, camels and asses, praised bigger hogs, dogs, camels and asses. And Prabhupada spoke about that verse. And they were all laughing and they applauded Prabhupada and they said, very good, Swamiji, you've spoken very nicely. And Prabhupada said afterwards to the devotees, he said, I have called them all hogs, dogs, camels and asses, and they have applauded me. He said, this is preaching. He said, you have to be expert like that. Okay, so here Maharaj Yayati is preaching to his wife. And he's the best person to preach, right? The husband's the best person to preach to the wife. She's definitely, you think probably she'll listen more to the husband than to any other man. So he's preaching to her, he's telling her about the difficulties the goat went through, the male goat, to get the female goat out of the well. He had to use his horns and knock dirt down and somehow help the goat to get out from the well. But eventually he managed, he succeeded. And then, of course, they're happy together for some time. So materialistic life is compared to that, being in the well. Of course, the she-goat he talks about the she-goat was agitated by her husband's behavior with another. And that other goat was not actually her friend, but was hard-hearted. And the husband was lusty. So she left him and returned to her former maintainer. Meaning, Devayani went back to her father. Just like when Kamsa was killed, then his wives went back to Jarasandha. His wives were all daughters of Jarasandha. and they went back to their father when Kamsa was killed. And then that's when Jarasandha got very angry. He came after Krishna. He wanted to kill Krishna, because all of his daughters had become widows. So here, Devayani has gone back to her father to complain about her husband. So again, Prabhupada stresses about the importance women should stay under the protection of a man. Independent women that's a problem. Now, we often find out a lot of the divorces which come about, it's often the woman who wants to divorce, not the man. It's often, it's a woman, she wants to leave the man. And sometimes she wants to go to another man also. She'll give up one man and go to another man. Like that, it's not very good situation. So women should learn to be faithful, to stay with one man, even though some difficulties will be there. But if they tolerate, it's better for them. So Yayati describes how the she-goat was going back to her father, and the he-goat was following and trying to pacify her, trying to get her to stay, but the she-goat would not listen. She was determined to go. So the stubbornness there, that people not willing to compromise or to make up the difficulties. So then we hear about Yayati being cursed to become old. That's certainly a big problem for their marriage. If he will become an old man, he will not be able to enjoy the amorous, loving relationships with his wife anymore. He won't be able to satisfy the wife. And Sukracharya understood that. But even though Sukracharya relented and Yayati was allowed to give his old age to his youngest son, he was never satisfied. So that's the nature of sense gratification. That lust, that it burns like fire and is never satisfied. So happiness in the Bhagavad Gita is described in the three modes of nature. Do you remember? Happiness, how is it described? Happiness in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Do you remember? What's the description?
Maharaj, it is in goodness, initially it is difficult, but in the end, long term, there is happiness. And
Yes.
in Rajaguna, immediately there is happiness, but in the long run, there is not satisfaction, unhappy.
Well, it doesn't say in the long run. It says something else. It said it
Tastes like poison.
It quickly becomes poison. Not in the long run. It doesn't take long. Quickly it can become poison. In the beginning it's like nectar, but quickly it turns to poison. And happiness in the mode of ignorance?
Poison in the beginning, poison in the end.
Yes, right. Like misery from beginning to end. So different kinds of happiness. So this passion, this nature of passion is like that. That in the beginning it's like nectar, but quickly it can change. So Yayati, of course quickly, it didn't happen so quickly, it took him some time. He was enjoying for some time because it wasn't Kali Yuga. There was another yuga, longer life. And so he was having a long time in family life. Now at Kali Yuga, we say go to the forest by the age of 50. But in other ages, it wouldn't be like that. They lived longer life. You have Kadama Muni and Devahuti. So Kadama Muni, he did yoga. Of course, that was Satya Yuga. And Kadama Muni, how long was he meditating for before the wife came? Because Satya Yuga, how people live, how long in Satya Yuga?
1 lakh.
1 lakh, yes, 100,000 years. So how long was Kadama Muni meditating?
10,000 years.
Yes, 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, the Lord came and the Lord told him, I'm sending you a nice girl, you should accept her. And so he did, he accepted. When Devahuti came there with Swayambhuva Manu left his daughter there in the ashram, and they stayed together. And then after some time, then Devahuti requested, I want to have a child. So then Kardama Muni had to make arrangements. And he had to arrange a nice mansion, opulence, and they went places to enjoy. They didn't just stay in the jungle in their hermitage. They went to Mount Meru. They went to places where the demigods go to enjoy, places which would arouse the passion and stimulate the lust in the heart. And they went to these places. And then in course of time she delivered. She had 9 daughters and 1 son. And that one son, of course, was Lord Kapila. And then after they had the children, then Kadama Muni, they arranged the marriage for the 9 daughters. The 9 great sages were all called to take a wife. And then Kadama Muni said, now I'm going. And he left home to go to renounce. Even though Lord Kapila was there in his house, the Lord was there, but he still left home because he wants to show the example that you have to be willing to go out from the house.
So Maharaj, it means that 10% of the lifespan he was doing meditation.
Yes.
So that means in Kali Yuga span, it is 10 years.
Okay.
So whatever they achieved in 10,000 years in Kali Yuga, 10 years continuously, if somebody is doing, then they'll achieve perfection. So that's the mercy of Mahaprabhu.
Yes, Mahaprabhu's mercy. Yeah, you do Sankirtan for 10 years, you do book distribution, you go out there and distribute books for 10 years, you make a lot of advancement. Much more quicker advancement than you can make by just sitting in the forest and doing meditation for 10,000 years. Very quickly you make advancement if you do Sankirtan and chant the holy name and distribute books to Jaghai and Madhai, to all the fallen people. You get a lot of mercy when you do that kind of preaching. But if you just sit there and you do meditation, you make advancement slowly. So the Vedic civilization, you should leave home, you should go out from the house, voluntarily giving up that connection. So Prabhupada said it's not easy. Prabhupada said it's painstaking. Painstaking. Prabhupada, just after he took sannyas, he got gored by a bull, and he was laying in Vrindavan. Nobody was there to take care of him, and he'd been gored by a bull. He'd just taken sannyas. He was wondering, what have I done wrong? Maybe I did the wrong thing. I shouldn't have taken sannyas. Like he was thinking. But anyway, he stayed strong, and he recovered, and he went on. So anyway, Kashyapa, not Kashyapa, but Yayati, he is glorifying his wife. But he tells her, I am the he-goat. I am so poor in intelligence. I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. So this is the point Prabhu was making. Prabhu was saying that we have to make it personal, that we're talking about ourselves. So Yayati says like that. He said, I am that he-goat, and I am poor in intelligence. So if you talk about yourself in that way, then is it all right to present this kind of story to the public? What do you say? Jai Govinda Prabhu.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, I'm saying if we talk about this story and we say, I am the he-goat and I'm very lusty and I was so attracted to my wife, and is that okay to present that kind of stuff to the audience on Sundays?
Yes, Maharaj, it is. Because, he's speaking from the realization, self-realization he's speaking. That makes sense. So people can relate. Sooner or they will also follow the same suit.
Yeah, if we put ourselves in that, use ourselves, and people like to hear actually about ourselves. Often people, they don't like to talk about their self and about their problems and their situations, but they like to hear about other people and the problems they've gone through and if you can talk about your own problem, then it's very personal and people can relate to it. So here's Yayati talking to his wife, and he's telling her the truth. He said, I am poor in intelligence. I've been captivated by your beauty. I've forgotten the real task of self-realization. So certainly when you get attracted, become attached to the beauty of your wife, then it's a problem. It's very difficult. She becomes your enemy then, in that kind of situation. So how can a man ever become self-realized if he's so infatuated with the beauty of his wife? There's a pastime. Ramanujacharya was walking in the street with some disciples, and there was this young man who was completely enamored with the beauty of a young woman. The young woman was his wife, but even in public, everyone could see that the young man is so attracted, so attached to this woman, to his wife. So Ramanujacharya got the young man, somehow he talked to the young man, and he brought the young man, the couple, he brought them both to the temple. He said, come to the temple. And he brought him to see Lord Ranganath. And they came in front of the deity, and he saw Lord Ranganath, and he saw the beauty of Lord Ranganath. And when he saw the beauty of the deity, then he forgot the beauty of his wife. And he understood that the real beauty is there in the deity, in Krishna, Lord Vishnu, Lord Ranganath. He has the most beautiful eyes. The man was thinking, oh, my wife has such beautiful eyes. But then he came and saw the deity. And when he saw the deity, then, wow, that was it. Just like Rupa Goswami says, well, you know that verse, he said, don't look on Govinda, because if you look on Govinda, you will lose your interest in family, society, and friends. If you see that boy Govinda standing on the banks of the Yamuna in a threefold bending form, gracefully playing on his flute, he said, if you see that, then you will lose your attraction for the family, society, and friends. So, of course, it doesn't happen for everyone, but in some cases, certainly it can happen. So, Prabhupada's purports are quite heavy in this one. Here, just look at the purport in text number 12. He said, unless one is extremely advanced in spiritual consciousness, household life is nothing but a dark well in which one commits suicide. And then he quotes Prahlad Maharaj, Vanam gato yad dharamashrayita. You have to go to the forest. Hidvapma patam itamang griham andakutam. Right? Like that. The family life is like the well. So, you should go to the forest. So, how can we present this to the modern audience? We can present it in relation to our own situation, to our own self. That I'm that kind of person. I'm like a he-goat. But we should understand, nothing can satisfy us. Material things are always going to be limited, and we're never going to get the ultimate satisfaction from them. So because of lusty desires, we continue to struggle. And what are we struggling? We want to improve our economic condition. We have to give up the disease of the heart. And the way by hearing topics of Krishna, of course we can't expect everyone to come and sit down and just hear about Krishna, especially when people are very agitated, very lusty. How can we help them? How would you present this kind of knowledge? If you know somebody, maybe one of your relatives or some friend is in this kind of predicament, he's overwhelmed, he's very attached to the beauty of his wife, how are you going to help him? Are you going to tell him about the two goats? What do you think, Sundar Gopi?
Maharaj, I will not tell about she-goat or he-goat.
You don't like to be a she-goat, huh?
No, I mean, I am she-goat only. I agree. But I don't want to tell them I I will pray to Krishna. I don't know what will I tell because it's a new question, but I I really don't know how people in this generation take it because they're so attached. It is difficult to get their attachment out. So I believe in positive. So giving them not this going the route of detachment, but the route of attachment to Krishna. So like giving prasadam, giving them gifts, going slowly with those people who are too attached, because detachment is not the way so easy. So let them get attached to Krishna, let them get attached to my children, because they like kids. Then slowly, steadily they can come to Krishna through a positive route rather than a detachment route.
Right, yes, that's right. We do want to encourage them. Rules and regulations come later. Important thing in the beginning is to get them somehow attached to Krishna. And so, like as you say, we give them nice prasadam, and we give them photographs and different things. Yeah. Very nice prasadam. Wonderful. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes, we need to, you're right, we have to think positively how to encourage them. You can't just come down and crush their material desires. We have to be careful. You don't want to burn them out too quickly. Heavy preaching sometimes. So this is a special situation. Yayati is preaching to his wife after many years of their marriage. They'd been married for a long time. He'd enjoyed a lot of company with her, but he understood that there was something more to life than that. So he'd come to some realization. So he really was a great soul. Not just in the sense that, he took care of so many women, but he was able to also see the futility of it all, that there was no real ultimate pleasure in that. It's also temporary. We're all material bodies, we're going to die. Sometimes, sometimes the wife dies, sometimes the husband dies. You're left. You're thinking you'll have company. People get married, they're thinking, I have company, they'll be with me. But then, one of them dies and you're left alone. It's very difficult. So we give an example about putting butter on the fire. So you put butter on the fire increases more and more. So lusty desires, by enjoying, can never be successful. We're thinking, just like Prabhupada was preaching to some Indian people in the beginning of our movement, and was saying to them, why don't you join my Krishna consciousness movement? Why don't you join us and help us spread this Krishna consciousness? And they would say, oh Swamiji, let us enjoy the material world first. Let us enjoy first, then we will become devotees. So Prabhupada would say, then the pigs should become the best devotees, because the pigs are enjoying more than anybody. The pigs are having the greatest enjoyment. So maybe they'll be the best devotee. Of course, pigs are not becoming devotees. So it's not true that the more we enjoy, then the more we will be qualified to take up Krishna consciousness. No, you'll never be satisfied. We have to.
May I ask a question on this, Maharaj?
Yeah, okay.
In the previous canto, when we were studying in that one of the area, we learned that the same analogy is used in the other way, that pouring more ghee into the fire will extinguish the fire. Means Srila Prabhupada is saying that if you are addicted to sense enjoyment, if you do it more, you'll feel virakti, I mean detachment, and you can come back to Krishna consciousness. This is one point. And in this previous chapter, we learned that even Yayatu, when Yayatu requested Yadu to give his youthful to me, then he said his intention was he want to enjoy the materialistic enjoyment and then go to the Vanaprastha and get into devotional service immediately. There even Srila Prabhupada said that is the reason Vanaprastha is given, of course, on a restricted way, no doubt on that. But now we are saying, like, if it is we can never come to in devotional service after sense enjoyment, then how to compare that with Maharaj, the previous canto which we said.
Well, I've never seen that verse where it says if you pour more ghee on it, it'll put the fire out. Certainly, you put more fuel on the fire, the fire is going to increase. Temporarily, you put the ghee on. You may put so much ghee on, you put out the fire. But after some time, again, the ghee will burn. It's not going to be put out forever. You know,
Any of the students remember that in the previous canto?
Yes. It's there in one of the purports that if you put a lot of ghee, drop will increase, but a lot will extinguish the fire.
Yeah.
The basic idea being actually the pravriti and the nivritti marg. So that, like the example which Ati Chandra Prabhu mentioned, is like the pravriti marg. You give so much enjoyment that the person is like kind of totally, like has got developed a distaste. It's just like if you feed somebody too many rasgullas, then like after a point of time he cannot eat more rasgullas. That's the idea. But I understand, Mara, the idea is how will you find so many rasgullas? How many will find so many ghee? Because the ghee is enjoyment, and the enjoyment in the material world is anyways very limited and hard to come by. So
you see, you may put out the fire for some time, but again it can ignite. You know, that material desires may stop. Just like people have a lot of sense gratification, and so they become burned out or fried. They don't want any more. But then after some time, again the desires come. It can come back again. The material desires will. It's not going to be forever. For some time, the desires are stopped. It's yukta. What's it called? Vairagya and alternating happiness and distress, you know.
Yeah, bhoga tyaga or
bhoga tyaga, right? Bhoga tyaga, right? You enjoy a lot, and then you don't want more, and then you renounce. But then after some, then you want to enjoy again, and then again you want to. It goes back and forth. It doesn't stop. You don't relieve the desire for sense gratification just by having more sense gratification. You may temporarily put it out. Temporarily you lose the desire. But again the desires come back. Just like young people, sometimes in Prabhupada's time there were young people coming to Krishna consciousness, and they were very renounced, and they wanted, even some of them became sannyasis, but after some time again they went back to material life. Again they were drawn back into material life. They could not maintain the vow. So that happens. That has been a problem. And they try to avoid that, and ISKCON. It's a problem everywhere. In the Christian church, for example, they have priests, and the priests also, they have a vow of celibacy. but often they cannot maintain it.
Yeah, the same thing in talks in this previous chapter also, no, Maharaj, that Yayati wanted to take the youth of Yadu. Then what was Yadu's response was in that such a way that he said, I want to enjoy, but immediately after that I want to get into devotional service. That was his intention. So his intention was justified in that shloka.
Yes, Yadu. He wanted to enjoy and then renounce. That's the Vedic system. You're supposed to enjoy family life and then you're supposed to renounce. After you've tried to enjoy the family life, after you've had your family and everything, then at some point then you're supposed to give up. You're supposed to realize that this situation is not eternal and the detachment should come about. What happens, of course, sometimes you get people, they want to get married again. They look for some other woman. They want to make another family. And this way it goes on. So one has to be very cautious. Material desires do not stop unless we're fully absorbed in the service of Krishna. The lusty desires are always going to be there. All right, so...
Yes, Maharaj, can I ask a controversial question? Is it okay?
Yeah, okay.
So, see, there are a couple of incidents happen within ISKCON that some sannyasis had to, somehow it went through this kind of situation. Then, what is it correct that ISKCON is taking such a rude and strong decision that taking them out from the entire activities of? No, is it correct? I'm just asking because this is a material world and this is a fact. And when Srimad Bhagavatam says that it is so critical and so strong the material things are. So in such case, when the bureau takes such decisions, this should not be considered in their decision. So I know, because at least let them be in ISKCON and some part of other world, keep them aloof from many things. But at least we should keep them together. And instead of that, some strong decisions. It's my I don't know. It's because I'm wrong. I'm correct or wrong. But sorry for that. But just and what would be your take on that or thoughts?
Yeah. Well, it depends. Of course, there have been some decisions made. Put people out of ISKCON. Somebody's a sannyasi and they tell them, get out. Somebody's maybe working against the authority structure in ISKCON. If he works against the authority structure of ISKCON and he preaches openly against the authority structure, then of course it's very bad. It doesn't help the Krishna consciousness movement.
It is better to keep them along with us and then take them, just keep aloof from some managerial things or something like that. So, but still keeping them together is the best way, I believe. But considering all these things, what we are learning from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Well, these things are decided by the GBC. I'm not a GBC myself. I don't sit on the GBC. I'm not a manager of any position. So I don't really know everything about what's going on, but certainly, they have their reasons and they discuss these things and they vote on everything, so these people, they're more intelligent than me. I don't understand all these things, so I leave it to them to take care of it. But we do expect that people in positions like sannyasis and gurus and so on, that they will cooperate with the authority structure in ISKCON. You see, the fact that you may be a guru and have disciples, it doesn't mean you have a right to be independent of the GBC, because the GBC represents the will of Prabhupada. The Prabhupada is the ultimate authority. In the GBC body, they represent Prabhupada. And so their decisions are understood to be the manifestation of Srila Prabhupada. So we have to go along with what they decide. And, you know, there's a good number of people, I think 30 or more people sit on the GBC, and they're all very senior, very educated, qualified people who are well read in the Krishna conscious philosophy. And so, you know, we have to respect them and work with them. And to go around criticizing them openly, then it's certainly not good. It creates a disturbance.
No, of course, I'm not against or I'm not opposing their decision, Maharaj. I just someone my curiosity. So similarly, the decisions are also like taken around 10 years back or later. The incident happened 10 years before the decision is taken now. Then during that time, the person entirely might have changed. He would be repenting for all this time, and then his mind also would have been changed. So that is also
yes.
point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, this should be considered.
Maharaj, but it is not only about that individual improving, but the person the other party who has gone through it, if they are suffering and they want justice, they will take life again to, you know, get justice. So even for the suffering party, the party who's a victim, for them also it has to be considered. So I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yes, you're right, Mataji. There's two sides to everything. Yes. You could say, well, the person's changed after you know, what he did 10 years ago, he's changed now. But the people who suffered, you know, they also have to be considered, and they have their feelings about it, and they want to see some action taken, that this person did wrong to us and something should be done. So there's two sides to everything. It's not an easy job, you know, trying to manage a big society like ISKCON, and so many different affairs are there. It's hard. You know, if we were just a very small organization, if you were just, you know, if you were just one temple or so on like that, you know, it would be a bit easier. But we're a worldwide organization, and you have to consider the situation very carefully before you make decisions. You have to consider, you know, you have the public to satisfy, and you have the people who were the victims, and all of these things have to be taken into account. So you can't sacrifice it for one person.
Maharaj, in my past many years, like what we have observed, I think, for I have seen, like we are the rank and file people out here in ISKCON. We are not part of the top echelons, but I've never seen generally devotees being kicked out of their devotional service. Generally, they are like kind of their external, the external post and position. That's generally what is affected. I mean, I don't see any. I haven't come across any case where the beadbag has been taken away.
No, I've seen the letter.
I've
I've seen the letter of the bureau, wherein the letter says that you're not allowed to come any of these temple.
Yeah, that doesn't take you away. That doesn't.
No, that is correct. But you know, people will get discouraged. Definitely, people will get discouraged of that, because you know
that may be that's the point. What like Sundari Gopimaji brought in. What about the discouragement of the other person? Like
no. The point when I said the 10 years, what I said is that the decision should have been taken at that time.
Exactly. So then that's what we generally see. Like justice delayed is justice denied, but justice hurried is justice buried.
Yeah, right. That is what I said. I'm definitely with GPC. I'm along with the decision, because just for the
of course.
Subject,
discussing.
Yeah.
It's like GBC, like we have seen GBC has also made many mistakes, and they have acknowledged later on that there was a mistake. So then that's certainly there. It's a very, yes, Maharaj, it's a very touchy subject. Actually, you are the best person, Maharaj. Like, we are like kids. And that's, and say, you have seen it all.
Yeah, it's certainly a challenging situation, you know, to have to deal with these different issues. It's really not an easy business. And we're sympathetic to both the victims and the culprits. You know, somebody waiting 10 years for punishment, you could imagine how you feel, you know. For 10 years, you're worried about, you know, what's, yeah. Unfortunate, but sometimes these things happen. All right. We're hearing how to deal with this situation. Maharaj Yayati certainly has a problem. And what he really wants to do, is to become self-realized, that he's very eager for that. He would like to become self-realized. Even in old age, one cannot give up sense gratification. One who actually wants happiness has to give up unsatisfied desires. So Prabhupada talks about the pure desire, and he quotes Yamunacharya, how Yamunacharya was tasting ever more and more pleasure remembering the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And whenever he thought about the material pleasures which he'd had as a young man, his lips would curl with distaste and he would spit at the thought. So you can have a higher taste. That's the higher taste, the taste to hear about Krishna and to absorb our mind in Krishna consciousness. So Yayati gives some instruction here. This instruction very important. Text 17, it's a verse often quoted, isn't it? Anyway, the instruction is very important. You should never sit on the same seat, even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. So sitting with a young woman like that, and this is for everybody, not just for sannyasis, but even you're in household life, you shouldn't be alone. You don't want to be alone with your mother or your sister or your daughter. It's not a very good idea. The senses are so strong. And Prabhupada said, a brahmachari is forbidden even to see the wife of his spiritual master, if she happens to be young. Of course, we don't have too many spiritual masters who have wives. Some are there, though.
Yeah, there are a few, Maharaj. Kritu Maharaj is there. Sankarshana Sadhgari Maharaj is there. Then now Mahadev Prabhu is also there.
Yeah, so young, anyway, Prabhupada talks about if the wife is young. Anyway, that could be a relative thing, who's young. Sometimes the wife may take service from the disciple of her husband, as she would from a son. So sometimes the disciple is asked to do some service for the wife of the guru. But if the wife is young, a brahmachari is forbidden to render service to her. So Yayati says, I have spent a full 1,000 years enjoying sense gratification, yet my desire to enjoy such pleasure increases daily. This is the nature of material desire. You cannot satisfy it, even in old age. So Yayati said, therefore I shall now give up all these desires and meditate upon the Supreme Lord. I shall wander in the forest with the animals. So Maharaj Yayati is expressing his desire to go off in the forest, and Prabhupada talks about the best forest is Vrindavan. And he says, no need to live with the animals. You can associate with the personality of Godhead, who never leaves Vrindavan. So going to Vrindavan is recommended, but at the same time, you have to be careful. You don't want to bring a lot of material desires with you when you come to Vrindavan. And some people do. They come to Vrindavan with material desires, and then they're committing offenses. So even if you're in Vrindavan, still material desires can come, lusty desires. It's better not to be in Vrindavan. As the Prabhupada said, offenses in Vrindavan is no better than the lives of the monkeys and hogs there. The monkeys and hogs are concerned with their sexual desires. So, misguided people, they go to Vrindavan in that kind of mentality. So we have to practice thinking of Krishna, bringing the mind to Krishna. That takes training, takes practice. We can do it, but we have to practice. So we have to become fixed in the self. We have to know ourselves as spiritual beings and not to be absorbed in thinking of sense gratification, thinking about money and then thinking about enjoying the other sex. Then that is very dangerous, and it will definitely cause our ruin in spiritual practice. So we have to practice from the beginning, detaching ourselves from the material body, practicing chanting Hare Krishna, cultivating our spiritual life. We have to purify our consciousness. Maharaj Yayati said, whatever material happiness we see, and whatever is promised for enjoyment, it's all flickering and temporary. The beauty of the fair sex is flickering and temporary. The beauty of your nice new car is flickering and temporary. The beauty of your new apartment is also flickering and temporary. We have our family, our nice sons. They will grow up. They will go and leave us. They will not stay. The children are not going to stay. They're also going to go away. We have to understand the temporary nature of the material world. It doesn't matter if you're a karmi or a jnani or a yogi, you cannot be peaceful. Bhukti mukti siddhikame sakale ashanta. Krishna bhakti niskam sa esha shanta. That's the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that your desire is for material enjoyment or for liberation or for yoga perfection, any kind of material desire, you will never be peaceful. Only the devotees of the Lord will be peaceful because they do not desire anything material. So, Yayati spoke in this way to Devayani, and Devayani became free from all material. Yayati became free from all material desires, and he called his youngest son Puru. Puru had taken the old age of Maharaj Yayati, but now Yayati is going to give back the youth of Puru and take his old age. So he gave Puru the youth back, and Yayati got back his own old age. And then he divided the kingdom among the different sons, and he made Puru the emperor. He put Puru in charge of all the other brothers. Although Puru was the youngest son, he gave him the supreme position. He made him the emperor of the entire world and the proprietor of all its riches. So he was the youngest, but because he was the one who surrendered his youth to the father, so Yayati appreciated that this son is the most qualified to be the emperor. And so he put Puru as the emperor. So Yayati gave up his sense gratification. It's that he gave it up entirely in a moment, just as a bird flies away from the nest as soon as its wings have grown. Prabhupada talks about the bird that in the beginning it's in the nest, it cannot fly. The mother bird has to bring food to feed the birds. But then as soon as the bird grows a little bit and its wings are able to flap, he's able to fly. And then the mother bird doesn't have to take care anymore. The little birds can take care of themselves. So the same way, Krishna consciousness is like that. As soon as you're liberated from material bondage, you're free. So Krishna promises like that in the Bhagavad Gita, that anyone who takes shelter, he will become free. Anyone who takes shelter of the devotees, Prabha Vishnave Namaha, then he will be liberated. So Maharaj Yayati, he surrendered like that. He took shelter. He actually took sannyas. And so he liberated himself from the material world. He gave up everything. He was able to fix his mind on the Supreme Lord. So he achieved the position of an associate of the Lord. We have to come to that position. Prabhupada quotes, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna. Krishna, situated in the heart as Paramatma, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from those who relish the message of Krishna consciousness, which is in itself virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So Krishna consciousness can purify our heart, remove all the dirty things. We have to hear and chant regularly. So when Devayani heard Maharaji Yati's story, she understood the story. It was presented as if a funny joke for entertainment between husband and wife, but it was intended to awaken her to her constitutional position. Well, it's certainly humorous. When you read it, it's quite humorous in some places. So Devayani got liberated from the material world. She followed her husband. As a dutiful husband, he instructed her with the story about the he-goat and she-goat, and thus delivered her from the misconception of material happiness. Devayani was quite competent to understand her liberated husband, and therefore she decided to follow him as his faithful wife. So she gave up her imaginary position in the material world. She fixed her mind upon Krishna and achieved liberation from the gross and subtle body. So you can see the benefit. Devayani, she got a husband who was a serious devotee, and he liberated himself. And so Devayani went on, she also got liberated. She followed her husband. But if you stay in the material world, just associate with society, friends, and love, then your chances of liberation are very slim. Okay, are there any questions?
But is there any specific reason where it says that how Yayadi got this inclination for devotional service, or is self-nurtured, or?
You want to hear how Devayani had a taste for devotional service?
Yes.
Well, it said she followed her husband.
No, not Devayani, Yayadu himself.
Huh? Yadu himself. Oh, that was in the previous chapter yesterday. We heard that he was always, within himself, he was never satisfied, and he was always thinking.
That's what it's only self-nurture. It's not that any other reason is not said.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Just simply by his own introspection, he could understand he was not satisfied. There was something more. He must have been hearing some kathas, although it doesn't mention anything about, but as a king, certainly brahmanas would be there And they would be reciting scriptures, he would be hearing.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes?
Maharaj, I have a question. Maharaj, naturally, the king will have many wives, then he'll produce many sons who can be Kshatriyas, who can be warriors. So it's naturally a fact that king used to have this. So here in this case, how come we can see the Yati was, after sense gratification where we had many wives. So it's natural for a king to produce a lot of children so that they can be warrior, they can be Kshatriya for the kingdom. So what the Yati did was natural. So how come we see that is after sense gratification?
I'm sorry, what then? How come?
How come we can see here Yayati was after sense gratification, whereas it was natural for a king to have many wives so that they can produce many sons who can be Kshatriya for the warrior for the kingdom. So it's natural, but here we are seeing Yayati was after sense gratification. So how to understand that one?
Well, it wasn't that he was just after sense gratification. Most kings, of course, are. Most kings, they have a lot of sense gratification. We heard even Yamunacharya had a lot of sense gratification before he became the saint and before he was moving into Trichy, into Sri Rangam. So it's common for the king to have sense gratification. So Yayati certainly had a lot of sense gratification. But he was never satisfied. That was the factor, really, that he was never fully satisfied that this is all I want. Well, for some time it was. Certainly he was completely enamored. The sense gratification, the pleasures he was enjoying with his wife and the other women there, he was having a lot of sense gratification, but it was never fully fulfilling him. And he began to think more and more that there's something more. And he realized he had to get out from. Certainly the history of so many kings is there, how they gave up the kingdom and went off, and vanaprastha, they would practice vanaprastha, they would take vanaprastha, they would renounce, they would not just simply stay in the home, they would move on, move out, go into the forest, renounce. Many kings also did that. They gave up everything with their wives, they go off into the forest. Rishabdev, of course, did that. He instructed his sons before he went into the forest, before he retired, he took vanaprastha. So here also Yayati, he's thoughtful person, he's taking care of his wife. He could have just gone. He could have just gone and left the wife and not said anything to her. But instead he stays around and he tells her this whole story and he helps to enlighten her. So he's really a great soul. He's meeting his different responsibilities. Taking care of his wives, and at least Devayani followed him. I don't know about the other wives, but at least Devayani, because she's coming from Shukracharya, her father is the Brahmana, so she would be more inclined to self-realization. The other girls like Sharmista, she's the daughter of the Kshatriya. She's a different nature. So I think Yayati it's a very nice example that he enjoyed himself, he had his sense gratification, then he gave it all up and he renounced and he took his old age back and then he took sannyas. and went on to become self-realized and go back to the spiritual world, to be an associate of the Supreme Lord. And Devayani also did that. Okay, you can read about Maharaj Prithu. Maharaj Prithu also took Vanaprastha with his wife. They went to the forest. They were getting old. They knew they didn't have long left. So he went to the forest and he prepared himself that he could leave the body. He didn't wait till he got sick or something. He prepared himself. Gradually he stopped eating, and he would just eat whatever roots were there in the forest. Then he would just only drink water, and he maintained himself for a long time just drinking water. Then he gave up drinking water, and he was only taking air. And just by taking air, somehow he was maintaining himself. And then at a certain point, he gave up his body. And then his wife did the cremation. And when she was burning the body of her husband, she entered into the fire and gave up her body. That's how it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, these are great souls, these are very special people, but their example is very important. Okay, we'll stop here tonight. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll meet you tomorrow. We're going to go on tomorrow. Chapter 20, the dynasty of Puru. Puru being the son, the youngest son, who became the emperor. We'll hear about him tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go back to Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.